I look at Cincinnati as a community that is really working hard to improve the quality of life for our citizens.
I've come to appreciate Cincinnati as having a lot of the amenities of a big city with much more of a small town community feel.
I would say that Cincinnati has been a generous community. There's always been people in need, with needs, whether it's a job or whether it's health problems or whatever it might be. The United Way has been there to help.
When I think about United Way in particular, I think about its role as a catalyst for change.
The United Way is such an important part of our community.
There is a core of highly effective services in this community, and all of those, they see United Way as the place where they come together.
Community and agency partners, companies and organizations, donors, volunteers, advocates. What drives us all is the belief that we can do more together than we can do individually.
Look back through time. Cincinnati, circa 1915. It's a vastly different city than the one we know. A canal runs through downtown. The Reds still play in the West End. Prohibition is a few years away. And major social issues include things like child labor.
Certain people were caught in the margin. Children who are working, who are messenger boys, children who were in the factories and sort of just being chewed up.
There was a need for a children's agency that didn't exist. And the Community Chest, the forerunner of United Way, and the University of Cincinnati came together to form the Central Clinic.
100 years ago, women were on the margins. So you have the founding of the Anna Louise Inn to help women. All of these things are happening in that second decade of the 20th century. And United Way, they're addressing those issues.
As the city evolved, so did the United Way. The Great Depression presented a serious crisis that changed the community's way of life. And the United Way stepped forward to find a new way of meeting needs.
You know, parents went through the Depression years and all, like so many people of our age, but there was always some money to give away to people that needed it worse than we did.
There were a lot of organizations that had been trying to confront and deal with the problems facing the city. The corporations said, look, let's do this in a systematic way.
You'd get organizations and individuals who contribute to say, well, I'm giving to this organization or that organization, and they wouldn't give the same amount of dollars.
People would be maybe surprised that Procter & Gamble helped start United Way, that Barney Kroger helped start United Way.
What you really see is the influence of the United Way in helping institutions professionalize. The 1930s is a critical moment that we had to learn to be more efficient and more effective.
The challenges of the Great Depression had given way to a more cohesive, more united Cincinnati. The United Way has spent 100 years supporting the most vulnerable in our community. Sometimes that meant responding to a crisis, other times being a leader on a new issue, such as early childhood development.
Back in 1986, the kind of daycare situation wasn't anything like it is now. At that time, there wasn't a lot of affordable child care.
35 years ago, people saw it as something just poor working class people needed babysitting.
We were one of the founding funders of 4C, which is the early childhood education agency in our community.
Today we understand that 90% of all of brain development takes place by 5 years old, and yet practically none of our public spending is devoted to children at that stage.
We've helped form a number of organizations in recent years around an effort to get every child prepared for success as they enter school. But we were doing that in 1915, 1916, 1918, 1920 as well.
Over the past 10 decades, the United Way continues to evolve through several different names and a variety of ways to reach partners on all sides.
Back in 2003, I found myself somehow invited to a lunch with Rob, and he started talking about the impact agenda.
For many of our years, we would ask agencies what they needed in order to do their work.
We needed to move from just supporting agencies that we had maybe supported the year before and continuing that, to really stepping back and thinking about how can we focus energy in order to make the best outcomes for the community at large.
This new impact model concentrates community efforts on a focused selection of issues, the better to create tangible change.
We had folks from the healthcare organizations in town. We had educators, religious leaders on our task force. We had labor represented on our task force. We had this great group of volunteers that really spanned so many different areas in the community to help us come up with some really bold goals.
The volume of agencies have increased. The programs have changed and how you deliver and what programs you serve.
Today, it is more proactive. We're asking agency and community partners to identify how they can contribute to one of the bold goals, and I see that cause being our work for the future.
What existed in 1915 and what exists in 2015 is such a different society that I think those founders would be amazed.
The name has changed from the Council of Social Agencies to the Community Chest, United Appeal to United Way, but there is one common cause that has been central to United Way since the very beginning. And that is to help people improve their lives and improve the quality of life in our community.
We can kind of reach holistically around a person and therefore lift them up and then lift the community up.
I've watched Cincinnati grow, and I've always been interested. There are very few cities in the country that our size that have what we got.
There are many people in our city that don't get to experience the same way I do because they don't have the economic blessings, and that's why I think the work of United Way is just so critically important.
Just watching any United Way agency, you'll feel impressed with what they're doing.
The idea that the individual leaders of our companies and our organizations are the people who are leading the charge, whether it's Barney Kroger or it's the Gambles or the Proctors or whoever it is, that's probably not unique to Cincinnati. But what it does remind us of is that leadership ultimately is personal. If we're going to have a future, it's because individuals will continue to step up and put themselves on the line.
I just think it's important for me to contribute.
My hope as we look 100 years forward is that we're no longer talking about how children need to be ready for kindergarten, that we've tackled that challenge and we've overcome it.
Everybody can contribute in some way, but the issues and challenges that our community faces and the goals that we want to try to achieve for our community can't be solved by any single organization. We have to come together. This is the work that we must do together as a community, and it's the work of United Way.